Hello, welcome back to the Elyse DeLucci Show, episode 85. How are you doing? I feel like this episode is going to be a little theater-focused, as that's what I've been doing lately. Fact of the day, and unrelated to theater. The average age for marriage right now for men is 29, women 27. They're saying Americans, we're pushing off life milestones. But do those ages really sound like we're pushing things off? I don't know. I got married at 27. I should have got married at 37. I don't even know how I was able stringing together sentences enough to make the very mature decision of signing a forever lifetime contract at 27. I think that's still a bit young. In 2013, 1 in every 4 Americans are married. I don't know what the stat is right now, but in 1960, 1 out of every 2 Americans are getting married. And what I can say is that nobody wants to commit. Every girlfriend, guy, everyone I know, the guys are saying they couldn't think of anything worse. They want to keep it casual. Why get married? What's the point? The girls are complaining that the guy can't even commit to a vacation, let alone commit to a, marriage, signing a lifetime contract. I get it. But we all know that this is a thing. People's attention spans are shorter. Nobody wants to commit. Anyway, how was your Thanksgiving? We haven't spoken. Here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. We know I had this car accident, right? And I'm fine. But I have these things that are affecting me, like I have a concussion. Before I talk about Thanksgiving, I went for a brain MRI a week ago, and note to self, never again. Okay, never again. I didn't even think to ask for a sit-down, stand-up MRI. I didn't even know what the hell this was. I knew an MRI was a test, was a deeper test than an x-ray, but I didn't realize a brain MRI was going to require me to lay on a bed and go all the way into a tube. Let me just paint a small picture for you, should you ever have to be in this situation, and I hope not. They took me into this room, they closed the steel door, and they told me to get on this thing, and I did, and they were going to, put me in the tube, and I thought I could do it. So I wasn't really thinking much of it. I get on the bed, and then they put a cage over my head and like the top half of my neck. Can you imagine? And then the guy is like, okay, we're going to put you in the thing now. Slide you in. I said, well, get this fucking cage off my head. Thank you. That was probably the most petrifying experience I've ever had in my entire life. I had to leave the room. I had to make a couple calls. I had to take pictures of the booth, send them out to my people. And then I calmed down. I got back in. He gave me a blindfold, a headphone, and I went in the MRI. It was horrifying. It was 40 minutes in this tube that was tight, and all these loud sounds, bells, jackhammers, banging. It's going on. That's the noise that's going on while you're getting this test. That is the test, and I guess it's checking brain waves. I don't even know what the hell it's testing, but all I know is I wound up having some cell damage and some neuron damage at the top of my head, and I'm fine, and it's going to heal itself 6 to 12 months. That's what the doctor said. The downside is that I am forgetful. I'm forgetting things, so bear with me. I'm forgetting things. I'm a little slow at certain things, and I am confused. I get easily overwhelmed or confused, and these are sort of these hallmark concussion symptoms. I don't even, the car accident, God forbid, knock on wood or metal, whatever this speaker is. But, the car accident was terrible. My car is totaled. But it wasn't, again, it wasn't one of these accidents where, you're rubbernecking on the side of the road and are like, oh, my God, did that person survive? It didn't look like that. So, but just because it didn't look like that doesn't mean that you can't have real, very serious damage. And that is, unfortunately, the situation. But I am fine. But one of the things is that it's affecting my everyday life, which is so goddamn annoying. Like, I was on the phone with work the other day with my boss, and I was talking about a guy at work. And let's just say, for the sake of this story, his name was John. I spent the whole conversation referring to him as Joe. And my boss, so sweet, didn't have the heart to tell me that his name was actually John, It was only until after the call I had to email the guy, and I was like, oh, my God, his name isn't Joe. What are you going to do? All you could do is laugh about it, right? And the same thing happened on Thanksgiving. So, I'm like, oh, I'll host Thanksgiving, no big deal. Just, a couple weeks after this accident. My mom is moving, so she didn't want to cook. She didn't want to, in her house, she didn't want to entertain. So she was going to bring most of the sides. I made a couple of things, and I was making the turkey. Fine. Well, my all-clad roasting dish, I left at my ex and I used to have a house, a mountain house, and I left it there. And of course, I never got it back because why would he give that back to me? It's mine. But anyway, so, I didn't have this roasting rack. I wasn't thinking properly. So, I ran to the supermarket. I bought a foil one, and I prepared the turkey, which, by the way, was delicious. And I put the turkey on the foil rack, and I made a hallmark mistake. All of you people that listen, I know you cook. You need to put a baking sheet underneath the tray that has the turkey, because when you baste the turkey, the drippings will drip all over, or God forbid, there's a crack in the foil pan or something spills. Well, I didn't put the baking sheet. So what wound up happening was, I'm basting the turkey, everything's all fine, well and good. And my boyfriend was there. He was giving me a hand. And then he left to go run an errand. And I decide I'm just going to baste the turkey again myself. But I'm really going to get it juicy, because he was opening the oven and I was basting the prior times. But I'm getting a few squirts in with the baster on the turkey. And I really wanted to get the whole bird. So I open up the oven. He's not here. And I start basting. Next thing I know, foil pan kind of like tips over. The grease and drippings, whatever, from the turkey, ignite the whole oven on fire. Oven is like a fire-breathing dragon. The kids are screaming. I'm screaming. I don't even know what the hell to do. Thank God. And you should have a fire extinguisher that I keep underneath my sink, which is right directly across my oven. And I'm grabbing the fire extinguisher, and I don't know what to do. And I'm going crazy. And I got this motherfucking Rent the Runway dress on that's off the shoulder and has bell sleeves, and the sleeves are starting to go on fire, and I just shut the oven. And I'm crying. I'm telling the girls, go away, and it's black smoke. It's black smoke everywhere. And thank God when I closed the oven door, and I didn't know, the flames started to dissipate. And it calmed down. Fine. I turned the oven off with all of my might. I took the pot holders and I got the turkey out, this 35,000-pound bird, and I put it on the thing, and I turned the oven off, and that was it. I walked away for 20 minutes. The bird's halfway cooked. And then once everything cooled down, I didn't know what to do to get this grease, this stuff residue that was on in the oven. So basically what happened was the grease dripped, the oven went on fire, and when I turned the oven down, it cooled off. Well, I called down to the doorman, and they said, take some dish soap and a rag and just wipe off the grease once the oven is cooled down. I did that. Didn't really work. So then I got some baking soda and a towel, and I started scraping it off the bottom of the oven, rubbing it off, got it off, turned the oven back on, put the bird in, whole oven starts smoking again, another fire. Black smoke everywhere again, turned it off, did the whole thing. And then that's when I called my boyfriend, get your fucking ass back to this house, because the whole house is on fire, and there's going to be Kenny Rogers roast his Thanksgiving in about fucking 5 minutes. Needless to say, he came back, he cleaned the oven, we got through, we cooked the turkey, but unfortunately, the oven was really damaged from the grease underneath, and it kept smoking later in the day when everybody brought the sides and we tried to heat it up. So we had to heat up all the side dishes. Very classy. We had to heat up all the side dishes in the microwave. And that was Thanksgiving. The turkey wound up becoming delicious. It came out absolutely delicious, especially given the circumstances. And the side dishes were fine. But I don't know if you've ever tried to microwave 10 side dishes for 15 people. I mean, the microwave time took an hour and a half, and it was really stressful. So needless to say, the next day I was freaking exhausted. And because even though I value the idea of wellness, I should have booked myself a day at the spa the Friday after Thanksgiving. But no, what do? I booked the midday show for the Rockettes, which was also really magical. I don't know if you've been, but the Rockettes were really something. And did I tell you about the whole thing last week that I wanted to take the kids to the Rockettes, my tradition, and my ex-husband's girlfriend thought that she was going to get tickets, and like, I don't know if it's trump me or just like override the fact that it was my tradition, or I don't know. How about ask your boyfriend to ask his ex-wife if she's taking the kids to any shows? Anyway, well, I wound up taking them to the Rockettes, and it was great. The tickets, you would have thought that they would have been a little less. I mean, I think I paid like $100 a ticket. The theater wasn't sold out. But we had nice seats, and the show was magical. It was really nice to go the day after Thanksgiving. I actually recommend that day to go because it just, bang, puts you right in the holiday spirit. And I'm usually the kind of person that puts the tree up the first week in December. But like I've told you, I put it up the week of Thanksgiving or the week before because my kids are going to be in the UK for Christmas. So, I'm trying to get that Christmas spirit in a little earlier than usual. So going to the Rockettes the day after Thanksgiving was so special. They had an amazing time. The girls were wonderful. I did notice, though, lack of diversity with the Rockettes. Every girl was Caucasian, one black girl in the Rockettes. I mean, and I don't think that that's something I would normally notice. And I noticed it because diversity is just a huge thing right now, and it's becoming it's becoming our everyday, and it should have always been our everyday. And I do think that they should have some more African American Rockettes. I read an article about that, and I don't even really know what to think. I actually kind of think it's not right. They said when we started the Rockettes, when the Rockettes started, which was like, in the 30s, the whole idea, was the showgirls dancing and obviously doing all their things. But the uniformity of the kicks and whether you're in the up front in the very front row or all the way, if you're in the very, very back, it's visually stimulating, seeing them in unison, doing all these things. I get it. Synchronized dancing, kicking, the whole thing. And there was an article that said, if you start to add people of different ethnicities in the lineup of the Rockettes, it's going to break up the uniformity. And I read that, and I was like, oh, I get that, but that's fucked up. Like, maybe instead of, I don't know, them wearing like clear tights, maybe they should all wear black tights or purple tights or green. You know what I'm saying? Like, change the fucking costumes. How about that? I don't know, just a thought. It just seems like the Rockettes might be having cancel culture one of these days if they don't get that together. But the show is wonderful, and I recommend it. After, and I know that I say this all the time, and I just need to stop saying it. I know you guys don't live in the city, but there's a place on the Upper East Side. If you're here and you want great pizza, and I know some of you have people on the Upper East Side, but San Mateo is a Neapolitan pizzeria on the Upper East Side. It's on 90th and 2nd on the corner. It's a tiny place, so you might have to try to make a reservation, or be prepared to wait. There's like 6 tables, but the people in there are from Italy. The pizza is amazing. Amazing. All they do is like pizza salads, a couple of little Italian things, baked pastas, whatever. We went there after for a meal, and it was wonderful. You got to try it if you're in the area. San Mateo. They're so popular that they have a delivery window an avenue away because everybody wants to get pizza delivered from this place. And the restaurant itself can't do all the restaurant stuff and delivery. I would like to have eaten around the Rockettes, but we didn't because we needed to get the hell out of the area. And nobody made reservations. And, if you're not making reservations on the day when the Christmas season starts, you're getting in nowhere. I mean, come on, we all know that, right? And sticking with the theater theme, I don't know if you've ever been to the Paris movie theater. The Paris movie theater is so fabulous in the city. You gotta go. It's the movie theater that's right next to the Plaza Hotel. It's like right near Bergdorf's, right next to the Plaza. And it's the last single screen theater in Manhattan. So it's a really special place, the Paris Theater. It's very fabulous. It's very artsy. And now it's owned by Netflix. It's a great place. It was opened in 1948. When the theater opened, there was a ribbon cutting with Marlene Dietrich. It's amazing. The address, I have it right here. Where is it? It's 4 West 58th Street, right off Fifth Avenue. But right by the plaza, right by Bergdorf's, right by all the windows. Should you do this in the should you do this in the holiday season, go there. But this movie theater really became the destination for Fellini films, and just so many movies. Anyway, moving on. They do a lot of foreign films there, and I was reading in the Times that they were having a movie called The Hand of God, and it was an Italian foreign film, Italian. It's just the story is about it's based on a real story. The director's real life, and it's about a family from Naples, and just the parents and their love story and the whole family, and the family has all these quirky characters, and it's subtitled, and it's great. It's great. And to make the Manhattan movie experience, because going to the movie theater in Manhattan tends to be different than when you go in the suburbs. People claps. A lot of people don't eat in the movie theater, although I always like to sneak in some snacks, because who could sit 2 hours without anything to eat, please? Anyway, but this was great in traditional Manhattan experience. It was, everybody was clapping during the movie, and the people in the theater were dressed so great, and probably because it was a European crowd. But I was sitting next to a couple from Germany. They're here working for a short-term mission at the UN, they were telling me. Everybody had the most amazing outfits on. I'm talking floor-length leopard suede coats and what crazy hats with feathers in them. It was amazing. And right outside the movie theater, they had a big program for The Hand of God, and it's like a 30-page program with recipes and like some stuff about the family in the movie, and photos of the cast, and it was just great. And the best part, tickets $16. And really, the Paris Theater and The Hand of God, you should be paying me for this. But the thing is, I just had such a great time, and I think you need to go there. I don't know if they always do programs for the movies there, but it's a piece of New York history, and it's a great place. And the recipes, by the way, in this program come from the family. And I wanted to give you one of them because I have it in front of me, and I just think it's so great. And this pizza, this recipe is for pizza dough, and let me see is it kilograms? Because it's European. Let me see. Okay. Anyway. Pizza dough, here we go. Straight from Naples. Okay. 1 pint of water. Here's the recipe. 1 pint of water. Half a liter water. A half a handful of coarse salt. 8 cups of white flour with no additives. And then 0.9 ounces cube of fresh brewer's yeast. I don't know what the fuck this is, okay? It says a 0.9 ounce cube of fresh brewer's yeast. This is what this says. I don't know what fresh brewer's yeast is, but it says in the recipe that fresh brewer's yeast, it's not easy to find in the United States, but Italian stores have it. It's very big in Italy. And they said that you can find it in a supermarket. And if you go, they'll probably sell it in larger pieces. So they said, buy some, divide it, wrap it in tin foil, and freeze it. And take it out a few hours before using it. But you can buy this fresh brewer's yeast if you go around. You ask, they said Italian specialty store or American food stores sometimes have them. So anyway, maybe it's a good thing to ask. But anyway, you get the big bowl, you get the ingredients, you get a big bowl. You first add the water, then the salt. When the salt dissolves to the water, add the flour a little bit at a time. Knead it until you get a smooth elastic ball. And add a little flour if you need. And then cover the bowl with a dish towel and leave it to rest for 12 hours. And that's that. There's your pizza dough. And obviously when the dough rises, then that's when you spread it out on your baking sheet, whatever, put your sauce, your cheese, you make it. But nice recipe. The reason why I thought that it was interesting was this fresh brewer's yeast. I don't know. I make pizza dough all the time, and usually I use 00 flour. This says regular flour, so just goes to show that whoever says use the 00 flour, not necessary. And I don't know about the fresh brewer's yeast. I've never used that before. When I make the dough, I just use a little packet of yeast. But now I'm going to look for this. And it's a good tip that they said that if you get extra, just cube it and freeze it and use it a couple hours before. So that's that. It was a great night. For a couple tickets, $32. Great. That night, where do we have dinner? Oh, little old Chinese restaurant in the area called Red Peony. Red Peony, Shanghai food, Shanghai's food, not expensive, black and white floor, kind of like tufted velvet red chairs. Great little option should you be hungry in the area. I think it's on 56th Street, West 56th Street, Red Peony. And just so you know, I don't know if you've ever listened to AM radio, but when I was growing up, there used to be 2 shows on AM radio that I would listen to. And it was Arthur Schwartz, Food Talk, and Joan Hamburg. And she would talk about restaurants around Manhattan. My mother would listen to them. And then I got into it, and then I started listening to it. And at the time, when I was growing up, I didn't live in Manhattan. I would never go to any of these restaurants that they were talking about. You know, and Arthur Schwartz, he would always talk about Sardi's, and then he wound up having a cookbook and da-da-da. And, you know, and we got it, and my mother loved it, and the whole thing. But I just love talking about food and restaurants. So I apologize if you're sitting here listening to this in your kitchen in Ohio and you haven't come to Manhattan yet. But when you do, now you know. If you go to the Paris Theater, you don't want to spend an arm and a leg eating dinner, and you're in the mood for New York Chinese food, go to Red Peony, and it's not going to break the bank. There you go. That's a very Joan Hamburg-y thing to do. I got a message from one of our listeners, and she messaged me on Instagram, and she said that she wanted my opinion on a situation, and so I'm going to share it with you, and I'm not going to say her name. But basically, she was engaged to a guy. She was engaged to a guy, and there was a wedding that they were supposed to go to together in California, and she couldn't attend. And, the wedding was in Chicago, but they lived in California, and I don't know, she couldn't attend for whatever reason, so he went by himself. And she had a hunch that he maybe had a little fling with one of the bridesmaids. She heard some whispers, whatever. And now, fast forward, they're no longer together, but she sees him on social media, and he's liking the bridesmaids' pictures. And, this bridesmaid, obviously wedding's way over. He's liking the pictures. He's commenting on the pictures. And she said to me, can I reach out to this girl, this bridesmaid from this wedding, and ask if they ever had a little thing or if they're together? I'm so curious because I really, I was torn up when I was engaged to him and he was at this wedding, and who knows what went on. And I wrote her back and I said to her, I would just ask him directly. Like, I'm going to maybe assume that you're on good terms with him or you talk to him every now and then or whatever. And I would just ask casually, very casually, somehow bring up the wedding. Somehow say, maybe it was better I didn't wind up going to that wedding. You wound up going and having a great time. And, I didn't you have a fling with Susie so-and-so? Bring it up like that. That's what I said. Why would you go to the girl? I wouldn't go to the girl and ask her. I feel like that would seem a little crazy, right? Like going to somebody and say, when I was engaged to John and did you sleep with him when we were together? I mean, she's not going to tell you the truth. But the thing is, really, and I didn't say this to her, I'm saying it to you now because I'm sure you're listening, is that I wouldn't even probably do anything if I really were you. If you're really a gung-ho, desperate to find out, I would ask him and do it in a casual way. But be prepared for the fact that if he even gets a sniff of you trying to dig into his past or his current or anything, he might just shut you off. He might shut down because men don't want us to think, men don't want us to think that women are, we're all in their business like that. But I wouldn't care. I wouldn't want to waste my energy on that. I wouldn't want to waste my time. It's over. It's over between you guys. It's over for a reason. And if he cheated, calm as a bitch, it will come back to him. And, at the end of the day, you're better than him. You're better than him and you're better than her. So I would just move on. I wouldn't even think about it. Social media is really it's really the worst. The other day I was at the diner on the Upper East Side, diner Three Guys on Madison Avenue. I was trying to go to San Ambrose, also on Madison Avenue, for a coffee, but, this is the only place in the city that at 8:30 in the morning you need reservations for coffee, okay? It's a very fabulous place with great pastries. I recommend it. But I went to the diner, and I'm sitting behind two Episcopalian priests that are talking about the university system in the UK versus the US. It was a very interesting conversation, but somehow they got onto the topic of social media. I couldn't help to listen. And they were older. They were in their 70s, maybe early 80s, and they were talking about how destructive social media is from their point of view to the students, and they hear all of these students, come to them. I think they're priests, but I think that they work in the universities. And the colleges, and they were talking about all the students and how destructive social media is, and it is for these reasons. Like, you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't be thinking about your ex-boyfriend, your ex-fiance, if you weren't seeing him liking her pictures. It's just awful. Anyway, we never talked about Stephen Sondheim passing away. Just terrible. I absolutely loved him. Composer, lyricist, wrote the lyrics for Gypsy, and he was just obviously, a legend. And if you haven't seen the movie on Netflix, the documentary, Elaine Stritch, Shoot Me, you got to watch it. She loved him. She worked with him all the time. And it's like the most New York documentary you could find. Elaine Stritch, Just Shoot Me or Shoot Me. I can't remember. Is it Shoot Me or Just Shoot Me? But it's on Netflix. Type in Elaine Stritch and you'll find it. But there was a whole tribute to the Times on Stephen Sondheim and all the stuff that he composed, and how and so many actors were giving tributes to him, and it was just so beautiful. He mentioned his story with his parents. He said his mother was a real horror, and I never heard of this. And he said right before he died, when his father left, his parents got divorced when he was a baby. And when his father left, his mother substituted him for his father. And she used to beat him up the way the mother used to beat up the father. And she used to, treat him like shit. But she also used to, come on to him at the same time. What a psychopath. And his mother, Stephen Sondheim's mother, once wrote him a letter that said the only regret she's ever had in her whole entire life was giving birth to him. What a disgusting piece of shit mother. Can you imagine? This lady, Stephen Sondheim's mother, died in 1992. And he didn't go to her funeral, and good. Why would he? She didn't talk to him for the last, she didn't talk to him for the past 20 years prior, so talked to her for the past 20 years, so who cares? But sometimes, the more the longer I'm in this entertainment business, the longer I see sometimes these people that are just such geniuses. They come from such broken homes, or they have such crazy things happen to them, or things that was said to them. And sometimes I wonder if that inspires this, this fuels the fire for this genius, or this sort of perfectionism that makes these people just these mega talents. I don't know. Just a thought. Product of the day. It's not really a product. It's more just a gift idea. There is a thing called establishedtitles.com. So it's if you want to become a lord or a lady in Scotland, if you want to buy that for somebody for Christmas, or if you want to just have it for yourself, it's a cute idea. For $50, you can go to establishedtitles.com. And you can dedicate a plot of land, 1 square foot of land. It will be in Scotland, and you get a personalized tile, little certificate with your name, or whoever name you're gifting it to. You get a plot number, and they plant a tree in your honor. I don't know if it's on the plot of land that you bought. And then for more money, you can get a printed certificate. I think it's a great idea. And we're not going to buy this for yourself, but it's cute if you're if you're Scottish, if you have Scottish heritage, or if just somebody wants to be like Scott Disick and go around referring to them as the Lord. Now you could actually, make him a lordship, give him a lordship with a little piece of land. Anywho. This weekend I'll be baking the fruit cake for my children, the traditional British fruit cake. We'll probably talk about that next week. I'll tell you the recipe. It's actually very good. I got to start to soak the dried fruit in brandy like a week before we start the cake. If you want to make it along with me, you just take whatever dried fruit you have, you chop it up. I'm using dates and figs and apricots, maybe some craisins. Chop them all up, food processor, give it a whiz, and then pour it in brandy. If you don't have brandy, you could use rum, and you cover it in a big bowl for about a week. You soak that alcohol, the fruit in that alcohol, and then we're going to start to make the cake. Cake lasts forever. We'll talk. That's the end of the Elyse DeLucci show for today, episode 85. And as always, leaving you with a quote from Milton Berle. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. Thank you for bearing with me if I was slow or slightly forgetful. And I am coming back, and it's on. And a concussion at the holidays and a totaled car. I hope Santa's good to me. You know, Mommy would like a car under the tree. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, thank you as always for listening. I will talk to you soon. And if I don't hear from you until the new year, Happy New Year. But I will be back next week.
I